Welcome to Call Nesha If. Hope y'all had a good time, missing us, missing me, missing you. How you been?
I've been good. I've been doing my thing, working, and just staying away from the BS and just working on my mental health and just taking one day at a time.
As you should. Self-care, self-love.
Absolutely.
What's new in your self-care, self-love regimen?
Just staying focused. I've been focused, but staying clear of no distractions, things like that. I feel like you gotta really pay attention to what is in alignment with your goals, with your purpose.
I agree.
And I feel like sometimes we can take the foot off the gas, trying to put gas in other people's tank, and then when you get back to your car, the car gets on E. There I go with the analogy. So, it's always important to keep your foot on the gas. You can take some, put your foot on the brakes a little bit, but don't stop all the way. And that's something I've been learning, to not do a full stop and go into rescue others in a sense, stop what I'm doing to do stuff for people that I love all the time. Yeah, sometimes you gotta be a little bit selfish, and that's what I'm learning from this journey. So
Yeah.
that's part of it, yeah.
That's good, because sometimes you can love people from a distance. There's nothing wrong with that. What do you consider to be a distraction? Especially right now in your self-care, self-love journey.
I wouldn't say I would just say me personally, distractions is my
You
bone
gotta
right there.
chill?
No. Distractions for example, it could just be people, right? For me, people, just accessibility. So
Right.
sometimes you could just, for me, I was just making myself accessible a lot. Not saying to every single body, but just to people that I love and care about. So it gets to a point where you have to really prioritize what matters. So for me, it's I wasn't prioritizing consistently on things because I was too distracted by helping others out all the time. So I would say to certain people, not saying that they're bad.
No, you're not
but
saying that they
it's
bad.
just that they're not aligning with where I'm trying to go right now. And I think LeBron said it last week. You got to sacrifice.
Yes.
He said sacrifice people. That was kind of crazy wording, but I get what he was saying. You have to.
You sacrifice the friendships or the relationships.
Right. It takes a price to be great. You got to wake up early, consistently. You take your naps. Work out.
Right.
With him, he was saying you got to work out twice and do all this stuff to be great and perform at a high level. So for me, this is where I'm at personally with my journey. I got to just do what I need to do to get to that next level. And it's requiring a lot of sacrifices. So when you get to that level or trying to get to that level, you kind of see things much easier and who's really for you and who's oh, hey, let me just go, see what he's doing just for the fun of it. And you got to learn how to separate the two. So that's where I'm at.
That's really good. That's a really good mindset to have and to stay focused on, especially nowadays where there's a lot of distractions with people. Speaking of, because this whole Risa Tisa story, the who the F did I marry? I feel since this has been taking up the waves, she's been on talk shows but the 50-part series was very in-depth.
Right.
Have you listened to it fully?
Not fully, but I've got to maybe
the grasp?
38 parts, 48 parts. I saw the synopsis, I saw the summary.
Okay.
So I know, I do know that she made some coins off of the story though, but
that's after the fact. We're not even talking about that.
Okay,
of course. I mean, I don't feel like she thought she would make as much coins as she's probably accumulating. But I do believe that she wanted to share her story,
right.
And the fact that because think about it, she didn't share it on Instagram or whatever the case may be. She literally stick to one platform
on TikTok.
On TikTok, and she was consistent with it. And I feel like, yeah, she's getting her money off of it, but, you know, God works in mysterious ways. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about her story, though.
Let's talk about it.
The only reason why I really want to talk about her story is because after she described all of the events of, you know, how he lied about this, lied about a lot of things, found out that he wasn't even speaking to anyone on the phone. Every day for 30 minutes, he was on the phone. He wasn't speaking to anyone. And he was actually talking to whoever or just the phone for 30 minutes. Him, back and forth, having a conversation. Then he played the role of his own assistant to her. That was really crazy. But at the end of it all, you know, it came out that she stated that he was diagnosed with bipolar and schizophrenia.
Yeah, which was a interesting plot twist for sure.
Interesting as bet I can honestly say. But as I was listening to it, only because, you know, I'm a psych major, I already knew he was bipolar with certain things. And I could have seen after the fact when she described after, like in the parts, the schizophrenia part, of course. But I wanted to talk about it, you know, because I feel like a lot of people aren't like very... What you was going to say?
I was going to say they were divulging, is that the proper word? Into the whole aspect of the story. They wasn't like really digging deep into like the aspects of what they got going on for real. It was just like the drama of the whole thing, you know?
Right.
But go ahead. I ain't mean to cut you off.
No, it's not even that. But you're right. A lot of people were looking at the drama part.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd. I was looking at all of the behavior part because I am a behavioral specialist. And that's like, I study behavior for a living. So the whole time while I was listening to her story, to me, it was like I was listening to like a true crime story. Details after detail after detail and figuring this man out before the end of the series. Because when you look at it on YouTube, it's about like 7.5 hours if you're going to watch it. So like, to me, it was a series just...
it's going to be a documentary one day.
She actually had a segment on ABC News Impact, and they were talking. They brought up various females. They were talking about scam and being fraud by somebody or someone you love. That love scam is actually a thing, and she was on there, you know, discussing her experience, and she kept repeating the same exact story, which made me believe it's so true because certain things that she said, you could just see it in her face. But she signed to CAA,
something like that. It's like a movie
production company.
Yeah,
and it looks like they may have a film in the works, so that's something to look forward to. Would you watch it?
Tubi already did something similar.
Nah. Tubi is like...
but
Tubi is like when low budget, you know, back in the day you had low budget films and you had the DVDs, the bootlegs.
But I would watch it though. I would watch it though, like just for because like it captivated like a whole world. Like the world stopped. Literally, like the world stopped. Like you had all different races, like watching her story.
You had watch parties.
It's still watch parties. I've seen like I was seeing older people talk about it like in the 50s, 60s. So I would definitely watch it. Now I know it's gonna, with the right casting, I would definitely be interested in it.
You brought up cast. You brought up cast.
Perry,
so they asked her, who would she want to play her?
Her, yeah.
I think her name is Yvette. I'm trying to remember Yvette Nelson or one of those actors. I'm sorry. I should look her up before I did. But who else she said was Queen Latifah. And this is the best one. Jill Scott.
Jill Scott? I was thinking like a Countess Vaughn, you know, to play.
Why Countess Vaughn?
I think it's just the mannerisms and stuff. I think she would be a good fit.
No shade to Countess Vaughn. If I want to see this, they have to. If she got signed to this whole top film production company, they got to come correct.
Countess Vaughn, a legend though, like you know. Like,
no shade to Countess Vaughn, but to play that role, I like the Jill Scott vibe. Jill Scott gives that vibes. And not to say they look alike. The features are similar. Just features, you know, round, you know, like you have a round face or it's just some features. When you look at her, guys, look at Teresa. I'm sorry, Risa Tisa. You should go look at her. The features are similar.
I can see it.
Yeah? Jill Scott.
I can see it.
So I will be staying tuned to see that. But on another note, let's talk about...
I think Bobby Brown could play the husband, though.
Why Bobby Brown?
I don't know. It just came to my head. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Do you know what this Legion guy looks like? Have you seen him?
I seen the picture. You don't think Bobby Brown could?
No.
Okay.
I actually wouldn't know.
What about Flex Alexander? You know what that is?
How about you bring people that are no shade to Flex? I was a big,
so you talking about like A-list
one-on-one,
actors?
one-on-one fan.
So you talking about A-list actors? You're not
really.
Talking about
you
actors.
could do like B-list, A-list, but the way that the production company is and how they are, I'm only gonna say B-list and A-list because it's one of those production companies. So I say one of those, you know.
But when you say like, not to get too far off, but like when you say A-list, B-list, these are like, we talking about like the Damson, Idris, and all those. Those are the ones that go to the show, like to the box office type.
Okay, so
you might,
maybe B-list.
Like C, like
no,
like a B,
B-list.
C.
Jill Scott is considered.
She's not no B-list though.
She's a A-list.
She's not no A-list either.
She's not a C-list.
She's the A-list singer. She's not no A, no B.
She's
actor.
a B actor. What?
She's not a
what?
Jill Scott is a
Jill
B.
Scott. Why did I get married? Is he playing?
What
he doesn't know that? Jill Scott.
What year was
he
that?
doesn't even matter. Jill Scott just had a whole show on BT Plus. That's how you know.
What show was that?
First Wives Clubs. It has 3 seasons.
You
play.
You know what? You're right.
Jill Scott, I love you. I've always been a Jill Scott fan. I did a cover of your song, A Long Walk, but yeah.
My bad.
Jill Scott, please. She's a great actress.
I never said she was.
You deserve a box for that. Talk about she not no ARB.
We can get back to that. Listen, I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
But I seen
her concert. Like I was there at one.
She's a great singer. A1. Jill Scott has it.
We can get back to that one day.
We gonna get back to that one day. But let me get back to the nitty gritty. This is what I really wanted to discuss. She did say that she ignored the red flags because of how she felt emotionally with herself. She was an older woman. She's been single. She wanted to be married. She wanted to have kids. So emotionally and mentally, she felt like she could ignore those things because of the greater good of the relationship, because she knew she was going to have a husband. She knew she was going to have a family. And all of the white noises that he was feeding to her about cars and houses and all of these things. But she ignored that, he really had some things going on inside, a mental disorder going on. And I wanted to talk about that. Bipolar schizophrenia. Those are 2 separate disorders. Of course, bipolar 1, bipolar 2. Bipolar 1 is basically depression with the manic episodes, and bipolar 2 is just no mania. And then you have schizophrenia. Of course, people know schizophrenia. You know what schizophrenia is?
I do.
Yeah? Can you tell me what schizophrenia is?
I would like...
No, in your terms. Let me tell you. Can you tell me what schizophrenia is?
I think schizophrenia is like, it's kind of like they had the depressive, like it's like paranoia added into it with the manic episodes, and some of them are depressed. There's a lot of delusion into the diagnosis. I don't know I can't really give you the full descriptive, but I know that's some of the symptoms that fall into that category.
I love that for you. You did a really good job.
Oh yeah,
because you named some of the symptoms that fall into it. I could just give a little the definition of schizophrenia for those who don't know. Schizophrenia is a serious mental condition of a type involving a breakdown in the relation between thought, emotion, and behavior, leading to faulty perceptions. That's like the delusions, the withdrawal from reality, and it affects your personal relationships. And it gives, it's like it causes inappropriate actions and feelings, hallucinations, delusions, those type of works where you think something is and it's not. And then, they actually, before, years ago, it was called, bipolar schizophrenic. If they were diagnosing somebody because the person had both of the they met both of the criteria of a bipolar and a schizophrenic. And now they call it schizoaffective disorder, which is the blend of someone that's bipolar and someone that has schizophrenia. And basically they have two types, where you have the depressive type, and then you would more have the more schizophrenic type, where it's more hallucination and delusions. And listening to her story, of course, there was a lot of delusions that he exhibited and she ignored it. Right. And, of course, hallucinations, he was talking to himself, seeing things that weren't there. The hallucination part was when she discussed that he called her and said, some guy came to the house and looking for you, pull up in the driveway and everything, looking for you. And he said it was your ex. And she's like, what guy? Right. She checked all the cameras. There was no guy.
And she didn't see nobody.
The neighbor even said there was nobody. So, that's part of that. It's not as funny, but it's kind of, in a way, it just makes you think, right? Mm-hmm. It makes you think about your relationships that you have, whether it's romantic, intimate, platonic, or even if it's familiar, those relationships that you have, what are you doing? Like, as far as saying, like, are you seeing anything? Are you ignoring the signs? Or you feel like, because, I love them. Like you said earlier on today, you said you wanted to be more selfish. You wanted to do things for you. Just because you love somebody, you didn't want to give them your time. Do you feel like it's the same if you see certain signs and symptoms in someone that may exhibit that they may be experiencing a mental disorder or mental illness, I should say?
Like in regards to being selfish, or in
reality, like we're talking about the whole bipolar schizophrenia. That's just something that he was experiencing, Legion, as she said. Have you ever experienced a time where you had a friend or a family member or somebody that you were in a relationship with, and you seen things in them that just was off?
Yeah. I was in a relationship a couple years back with an ex, and we were on and off for like 5 years, and literally the last year we were together, we were, I would say, a lot older. We were more intimate. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't start seeing signs. Like, she was bipolar, but I didn't know that, though.
She was diagnosed?
Yes. Oh. But I didn't know that, though. She kept that from me for all those years. You know what I'm saying? So it literally, she got into a manic episode. I don't want to be too specific on the date. You don't have to. But she got into a manic episode, and it was really ugly. It got really, dangerous, I would say. And we were fine. There was no signs of anything that could have, be any indication. We were good. It was, you know what I'm saying? But, the signs, like you were saying, we were, when she was cold, she was cold. Yeah. She was cold. And when we were good, we were good.
You were good.
So it was no in between. There was, her way, the highway.
Black or white.
Yeah. And certain things were triggering her around the holiday. Okay. So sometimes you be seasonal depression, or you just be depressed, you want to be around people, you don't want to be lonely. But
we could talk about that later too.
Right.
Go ahead, continue.
But this specific time, there was so many signs that were off, and I started to see them. And I didn't see it like that, but it was I have to get away. Yeah. Because it's this was too much for me. And I'm like, yo, what am I doing wrong? Or whatever. So it took into that moment where she had wild out for her mom to say yeah, she's been diagnosed with bipolar since she was 17. Wow. So I was like, huh? You know what I'm saying? Wow. So, but she made me feel like I was going crazy. And sometimes that's what it was. That, you know what I mean? Because I'm over here being the best boyfriend, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm like, what else can I do? You know what I'm saying? So it got to a point where it started becoming volatile. Yeah. And I saw the signs and I dealt with it. I forgot what the question was. What was the question?
No, that's exactly what it was. You said you saw the signs and you dealt with it.
But I didn't know.
But you didn't know. You didn't know the signs until it was
over.
Okay.
Yeah. But the more I thought about it, the more it made sense.
Yeah.
So, and then I dealt with somebody else, not like relationship wise, but I was dating somebody else with it. And I saw the signs from my ex, which made it easier for me to see it with the person I'm dealing with. So, you know.
So you're no longer Captain Save a Hoe?
No, we don't do that. I don't, first of all, I don't save.
Oh, you don't save?
I don't save. No.
Okay.
You could repent with me, but I won't save you though.
You could repent with me, but
yeah, like, you know, like.
I know what you meant, but I had to repeat it. You could repent with me, but I won't save you. Yeah.
Jesus saves, I don't.
Oh, there you go. It's the Jesus save, I don't know that. But see, you had the courage to, you know, understand something was going on, and then it was later on told to you that she was bipolar. She had bipolar. A lot of individuals are diagnosed with bipolar during their later teen years.
I do want to say something, though.
Other disorders, I should say.
I do want to say something, though.
Yes.
I got the proof, like the paper and all that stuff from like the mom, right? But when the thing happened, they gave her another evaluation. She was completely aware of what she was doing. So it was hard to evaluate somebody that is completely aware of what's going on. So like,
I agree.
It was one of them things where it was telling, you know, like she was very functional. Like I said, there was no.
A lot of them are very functional.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like there was no like signs. Like,
right, you said it was either white or black.
Yeah,
there was no gray.
No gray. So it was like, you know, it just very telling how things work. You know, because I have family members that are schizophrenic. I have friends of friends that are schizophrenic. I've been around, you know, certain type of you know people, and you could tell the difference. You know, and I've seen it happen in real time where people's personalities change. Yes, they do. And then,
as we grow, we change.
Right, but
some of the characters don't change. The characteristics in people.
Right.
Personalities evolve. I don't say the personalities change. They just evolve.
Yeah, for sure.
They don't really change in a way. They evolve, and the characteristics stay the same. Sorry.
Nah, go ahead. Like we have core values, you know. Yeah. Sometimes that sticks with us to the rest of our lives until something drastic happens or something life-changing happens, for better or for worse, and it alters our core a little bit, but we still have a lot of values and a lot of traits that makes us who we are. So to touch on to what you're saying, like I've seen the evolution. Like I've grew up with friends that were one way, and then they hit 22, 25, 27.
They have changed.
And they, you know what I'm saying? It's a whole different person, and sometimes it's like really sad.
Yeah.
But you know, you learn to adapt and you learn to grow with it.
Yeah.
But go ahead though. I know you got some questions that lead into that.
But I'm glad that was the question that I wanted to ask, and I'm glad that you answered it the way you did, because I can share my experience with. I've actually experienced many people that have various mental disorders, not only in my work life or in school life, but in my personal life. And I've known someone for years, and up till recently, we are no longer, you know, in communication. However, it was just that through the years, I did notice that this person had a lot of things that they were, you know, dealing with, especially when you coming from a Christian household, you know, they would say you're fighting demons and stuff. But I just knew that this person had some things. And even when I would speak with this person, like we would talk and this person would admit like I'm this and I'm that, you know, everybody experienced depression. Everybody experienced anxiety. I just think with this person, they had a lot of things that they experienced growing up caused them to be how they are. So of course, childhood trauma defines us as we grow, you know, it's part of us maturing, you know, maybe some of us get over it and use it to make us stronger, and some of us dwell in it and it kind of hinders us from growth. But with this person, how funny this is, when I started my doctoral program, this person wanted me to diagnose them. And they were very adamant that they wanted me to do it. So I told them that I will wait till the segment that I do my personality assessment course. And I will do my personality assessments. So when the time came, I had to do 3 personality assessments and to configure all 3 of them into a behavioral report at the end. So this person, sorry, it's kind of funny to me, but this person did all 3 personality assessments. Now, I have to really stress that I did not give the answers to, like, I didn't give her the questions. I didn't give them the questions. So what happened was the person took my laptop, and it's all computerized. It's all digital. You know, you fill out the answers and they give you you fill out the questions and they give you the answers at the end of the assessment after the evaluation. I watched said person do the whole assessment. So I knew during the time that, you know, this is what I'm supposed to do based on behavior. When one of the assessments were completed, the results came out that this person had a narcissistic personality type with a paranoid style. So on certain markers of certain personality assessments, for this one specifically, I'm going to say it's the MCMI. And it tells you the scoring that the person gets in each of the subcategories. So I'm just going to throw out several subcategories out there. Narcissist, paranoid, histrionic, delusions, and hallucinations. So I'm going to put those out there. Those were the ones, those markers were high. And, you know, I've always thought that this person exhibited more of a histrionic personality type. However, it came out that it was narcissist. And how funny it is, as a typical narcissist was, this person started to gloat. They gloated that they were diagnosed as a narcissistic personality style, which is funny because, you know, everybody calls a lot of people that they've dealt with a narcissist.
It's a common word that gets thrown around a lot.
It is a common word that does get thrown around a lot. And I feel like I could touch it because I actually experienced someone that was diagnosed because they did this assessment as a narcissist. Personality style. Not to say that it was like the disorder, but that's the style. So if that person had a little bit more markers in certain parts, they would have been diagnosed.
Like full blown?
That would have been a disorder, you know? So I wanted to talk about it because as a narcissistic personalities, there's like, it's in a cluster of all personality disorders. The personality disorders have 3 clusters. They have A, B, and C. And narcissist is in the cluster B, personality disorders that are with antisocial, borderline, narcissistic, and histrionic. Those are all in the same cluster. So all of them have similar criteria that people could, you know, probably diagnose them with. So I wanted to get into it really quick. And so people could, you know, understand the difference. You may see someone that may have this and you think they're a narcissist, but they may be exhibiting some symptoms of something else. So let's start with the antisocial. The antisocial personality disorder is a pattern of behavior in which an individual regularly violates physical or emotional rights of others, behave recklessly, violently, or deceitfully, and lacks remorse for any harm that they have caused to others. That's someone that has an antisocial personality disorder. Do you know anyone that has that? Or exhibit those?
I think so.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it, I think so.
Then we have borderline.
I definitely know somebody.
You know someone with borderline, like actual BPD. BPD is very popular though. And it's more common in women than in men.
Yeah.
So we should put that. And I just wanted to put it has 1.6 to 5.9% of all adults. That's the range between adults that are diagnosed with borderline. So borderline is a condition characterized by chronic mood instability. So unstable behavior, difficulty maintaining personal relationships, of course. That's often caused by like a fear of abandonment, like social isolation. They have like separation anxiety disorder sometimes because they they fear that, nobody wants to be there and they're left alone. So that's part of that.
Makes sense.
Right? And the frequent instances of self-harm or suicidal behaviors. Yeah. Have you, that person that have BPD, have experienced those things?
Self-harm, not like suicide though.
As like suicidal ideation. Suicidal ideation is thoughts.
No, I know the person like cut themselves a couple of times.
So self-harm, of course.
Yeah, and I would say just the way they talk is kind of interesting. Like she capitalizes all of her, like she talks in all caps, and it's been like that for years. Like she talks in all caps, and she always ends things almost every sentence with like an exclamation point. And even when we're talking in person, like it's just very like she talks like how she texts.
Is she animated?
Yes, super duper animated. Like there's like that's what I'm saying. Like you could read, like she talks like how tell. She like like how she posts or texts, and she came out with it and she told me about it first, but then she came out with it like a year or two later in the public and stuff like that. But now more so, she doesn't really
speak about it.
Yeah, but like she was
very vocal about
being an advocate for it. Yeah, so
and they should. A lot of people a lot of people have these personality disorders and they're very functional. Sometimes they seek therapy, like CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, or a lot of them sometimes they need the medication to stay stable.
Right.
So I'm glad that she's accepted her diagnosis and is living in her truth.
She's doing a lot better
and that's really great.
What I'm seeing, you know. So sometimes it's about just being open and honest, you know, because then you don't realize like sometimes we think the world is big, but when you say certain things in regards to your life, like because we all have a story, so
we all have a story to tell, of course.
Right. So sometimes when you tell your story out loud, you realize how small the world is and how common people might have with you, and then you build a community, and then you become relatable, and you might become somebody's inspiration because somebody out there was afraid to speak out, or they was afraid that this is something that's always going to be a pattern for the rest of their lives. So when you have someone doing good things with something that is considered a bad thing, or a thing that's a stigma, you're giving someone else hope and inspiration.
That's true.
So.
And I love that. I love to hear those things. Because when I think back about the person that I knew when they did this assessment and stuff, I just think about like all the time that I kind of like pushed things under the rug and kind of ignored certain actions that was brought to my attention just because of, okay, this person is going through something and I should be accepting of it. But then it just took one last straw. That last straw happened, and it was so funny to me after the incident occurred where kind of ended our friendship. It was when I kind of looked back on the assessment and read through the description of, it gives you a brief description of how this person acts and how this person reacts to certain things and the demeanor of this person. And when I said that the description was to the T, it was to the T, like it was. And there was a paragraph in that description in which whatever that paragraph stated, that person did exactly what that paragraph stated.
Like word for word?
Word for word. Distorting information. It was all of those things.
Right.
So in a way, it was like, I'm glad that it had to be this big blowout.
Right.
In order for us to disconnect.
Right.
And I'm kind of, happy that, sad to say, but no longer in communication with that person, because I realized, like you said, sometimes you got to be selfish and realize you got to take the time for you.
Right.
Because when you have certain relationships, it could be hurting you more than it could be you could be benefited from.
Yeah, and things like this is all a journey.
Yeah, of course.
So sometimes it hurts sometimes, but
it does.
You have to tell people, not tell people, but you got to tell yourself, like, this is the journey.
Yeah.
This person traveled me through here, and it stops here because I'm trying to get to here, and I can't you know, you're on the highway. You know, you can't just automatically stop in the highway and then go backwards. You know what I mean? So you gotta keep going. There's no I-94, there's I-95.
Nope. You gotta keep going.
So, you know, you gotta, exactly. So I just feel like everything happens for a reason,
everything does.
And when you enable people, it doesn't matter like if it's borderline, like, you know, I'm just like just people in general.
When you enable people in general,
right?
Yeah, I agree.
You feel like, you know, like your hand, it gets longer, right? But when you're enabling, all of a sudden you got 4 fingers and 3, then 2, then 1, and all of a sudden you don't got no hand, and all of a sudden you don't got no forearm, all of a sudden you got no elbow, you know?
You're giving them your all, and you're not taking what you have for yourself.
Yeah, so they keep tugging. And it's like, and if you let them, they're going to tug till you got nothing left. And at that point, you know, all you have is regrets. All you have is like, oh, damn, I should have just stopped when I had the chance, you know, coulda, woulda, shouldas, right? And we don't want to live like that.
No.
So sometimes you gotta be selfish, and selfish is basically like a perspective thing.
It is. I agree with you. I agree.
Right. So what really is selfish, right? Putting yourself first. How is that selfish? You know, you die alone, right?
But you need to put yourself first, because you need to make sure that you are at the mental capacity to get through life for you. Because if you can't handle what's right for you, how are you going to help somebody else?
Exactly. But not a lot of people think like that, though.
Which is true.
They feel like they have to continuously help, and then they get rewarded for helping, and then that doesn't happen.
But then that doesn't mean that you're doing it because you want to help. You're thinking about the reward at the end of it.
Well, that's true, but also sometimes you can be taught that that's the only way to help.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there are people that say, this is just the way I am, right? And then you ask them why. And they go, oh, well, this is how my parents told me. This is how such and such told me, right? And then it's like, and then you get to a point where like, okay, well, now you got to teach them, right? As a friend or boyfriend, girlfriend, you got to teach them to unlearn these habits, right?
Yeah.
But then they get to a point where they've been doing this half their lives. Like, where do I start?
Yeah.
And then that becomes something where it's like, okay, I'm a busy woman. I'm a busy guy. Do I have time to teach at this phase of my life? You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes it's not always about, like, I agree with you. I'm not going to knock you. I agree with you. And then sometimes it's not always about, like, something that you have to teach. You don't always have to teach somebody. Sometimes you got to leave people where they are, right? As we get older, the chances of us actually changing, it becomes slimmer.
You think so?
I think sometimes it takes a real strong person to change. And the type of change that especially they want to experience, they have to have that will, that mindset to do so. A lot of people don't have that. They lack certain type of mindsets to actually occur to this change that they want to have in life, you know? I think now as like society has changed and the way people view things now in the world is different, that maybe as they get older, some people can change, but then I do believe that people are stuck in their ways. And you can't change them. Right.
And that's why we always have a choice, you know?
You're right.
And I feel like, like you said earlier, you know, we have our core values. So if you feel like they can't change, then you have to ask yourself, do their core values match with mine?
Yep.
Do their goals match with mine? Do their journey match with mine? And not saying like they have to mirror your journey. No, it's saying like, do you compliment me in such a way where we can talk every day, or we could talk every week, we could talk and catch up months later, and we can be like, damn, like I'm so happy for you, you're growing. Yeah. Damn, like I'm so happy for you, you're proud, like you're doing your thing in your field and your job and whatever you're doing. Like, can we still keep meeting each other at certain levels, you know what I'm saying? And if not, then you have to just let them be where they at.
I guess I get what you're saying right there too, especially when, you know, you have certain expectations for certain people. And that could be another thing that could kind of, you know, affect other people's mindsets too, when the expectations is there and people don't fulfill those expectations. Now you feel like, if I can do it, this person should be able to do it. But then that's unfair, because what you could do, somebody else probably won't be able to do, and what they can do, you probably won't be able to do.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, with that said, they can still compliment you.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying as a general thing.
Yeah. But
they can compliment you, of course.
But if there's certain things that are offsetting.
Yeah.
Then like especially in a negative way, or there's certain things that you wouldn't take with somebody else or with 99.9% of the people, but you decided to take it with this 0.1% because like whether it's a kid or someone got divorced or someone got some extra, like we all got baggage, but like someone got something like, oh my God, like like I wouldn't really do this, but I really like you, so I think if I just wait around and wait until you figure shit out, excuse my language, we can work, right? Yeah. But then it's like, okay, it's September. I waited since March. What's going on?
Yeah. But and during that time, you just set yourself up to say, you know what, I'm just gonna exit the situation. Right. And but that's what I'm saying, like, right? And that's the perfect example, like where we would excuse somebody, right? Same thing with the Tisa story, right? Because I'm gonna go back into it. Go ahead.
Right, she's a smart woman. Like,
she's very intelligent woman. You could tell, but she is. She got her degree in criminal justice, and she went. Yeah, she's a very intelligent woman.
But that 0.1% made her see things differently.
She did.
She did, and
she didn't pay attention. She knew the signs. She just ignored it.
Exactly. Yeah. And she's here telling her truth, because if she really wasn't that type of woman, she would fall for another person like that.
But then with her, it was a lot going on. Insecurities. Yeah. Of course. And then age, of course. And as a woman, when you reach a certain age, people are going to continue to ask you, when are you going to get married? When are you going to have kids? So it's like pressure. It's like our biological clock. It's the pressure, right?
The eggs become Humpty Dumpty.
Here we go. That brings me back until talking about the other parts of the cluster disorders that I was talking about, personality disorders. So I wanted to talk about the histrionic, in which I thought this person that I knew had. So histrionic is self-centered, constantly seeking attention, behave or dress inappropriately, or, seductively. They're highly dramatic, and they may display extreme emotions in public, often creating relationship problems as a result. So from what occurred between me and this person, I thought, this person was histrionic. However, that's not what was shown up as a result of the assessment. So now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty, because everybody is talking about narcissists. The narcissistic personality disorder is the grandiosity, a need for excessive admiration, of course, right? A lack of empathy, manipulation, self-centered. And they have this demanding behavior, right? Someone that has like a narcissistic personality disorder can cause significant distress for anyone who associates with them. And I guess that's what everybody feels like when they're dating somebody and they feel, oh my God, I'm so stressed. This person is a narcissist, this. Sometimes they're probably not. Sometimes they just have this way about them that they just exhibit these characteristics, but they're not really, But then again, I've dated one, and I've actually was a friend to one.
Breadcrumb. Well, Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But, and funny enough, it actually affects 1% to 6% of the population.
So you're saying like 1 in 10 people that you meet?
1% to 6% of the population. You think that's what that means?
No, but I'm just saying, like, if you're in a room with 20 people, that means probably one person.
Yeah, most likely.
Have something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I feel like as we grow, I feel like everybody has something that they're battling. No? Well, I do.
Not me.
I have been diagnosed with seasonal affective disorder, which is known as seasonal depression.
Seasonal depression, yeah.
And I've also have OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder. So sometimes when you guys see me here, it might be anxiety. Everybody goes through these type of things. I experience anxiety on a different type of level, which causes me to be more obsessive over things than I am compulsive over things. And at the anxiety that I've dealt with, I've been diagnosed with depression since I was 12. And I've actually was diagnosed with seasonal affective disorder and OCD 7 years ago. After I had a manic episode where I had thoughts of like suicide at one time. And I went to see someone. And during the process of me seeing the therapist, he was a really nice guy. I will always remember him. He really helped me through that time. And with my seasonal depression, I've always experienced it. I didn't know, especially at a young teenage age, I didn't know what I was experiencing. And I will always experience at the same time. Of course, if anybody knows what seasonal depression is, it usually happens during the fall, winter months, when we're not getting enough sunlight, daylight saving, so the sun is not as close to the earth. We're not getting that. Right. That causes, the vitamin D deficiency that a lot of people experience during these times. So they also said that it relates to altered levels of melatonin in sleeping in your brain, where it's like causing sleeping or oversleeping, which a lot of people, when they're depressed, they have those moods where they don't want to do anything. They want to lay in bed all day, stay in the dark, and just be with themselves. Right. For myself, I experienced seasonal depression as soon as fall hits, which is absolutely correct. As soon as September hits, I get into the modes, I get the feels. My birthday is later on in the year, so at my teenage years, I didn't really have great birthdays. So it just kind of sunk in that every year this is going to happen. It's my birthday. It's all these holidays. There's Thanksgiving. There's Christmas. There's New Year's. And all of those things was very hard for me to go through, especially dealing with what I was dealing with. And, I know there was people that I was around that, especially like my ex, didn't want to be around me because I was depressed. And, it's kind of hard when you're in this mode when you're actually depressed and you're dealing with something and you have someone that you love and you think love you, and they can't show you that grace to understand that you're going through something. Right. To understand that right now you actually need them more than you do. Like you said, expectations. When you have expectations for someone, that's like an expectation. If this is somebody that you love, you would want them to help you, to take care of you, to be there. And like even in Tissa's story, she was trying to understand him, but he was just getting way out of control for her to the point where she couldn't, and she had to separate herself. And I think about that in a lot of ways, especially like myself. I have OCD and obsessive compulsive disorder, where people have more of an obsessive thing. Like I myself, as a driver, I have to have my key in my hand before I lock the door. And then I will lock the door and open the door and lock the door and open the door. That's just an obsession. I have the same obsession with going into the house. Or I sometimes am compulsive if I'm at work and I'm eating and, I like to I have a garbage by my desk. If I don't put it in the garbage in the morning, I'm going to get up and start wiping down my desk. Like, there's little things that I have. However, I've learned to deal with it. I've learned to get help for it. And so it doesn't affect me as bad as a lot of people experience. A lot of people experience it worse. You know me, I'm one of the biggest germaphobes. You already know. I still wear a mask if I'm traveling. Sometimes, like, I have sanitizer, all of that good stuff. So, so that's just something that I'm always big on, like, So, I mean, that's considered a mental disorder, but a lot of people will look at me or hang out with me. They wouldn't know that that's something that I suffer with, especially my OCD. Once you get to know, if you're with me for like an hour or two and we're somewhere, you're going to know. But other than that, I've learned to work on it. I've learned to be a better person with it. When you go through distress, find help. Right. They have a hotline now that you can go for, like, it's a mental health hotline for crisis, or you need someone to talk to, and you can dial 988. And when you dial that number, somebody's there to help you with anything you're going through during that time, So I say that to say, like, everyone deals with some type of, I guess,
anxiety.
Yeah, everybody deals with anxiety. Everybody has some type of disorder. I'm not going to say everybody is diagnosed with a disorder. Don't quote me. But everybody deals with something, or symptoms of a disorder, or characteristics of a disorder. Anxiety. I know everyone has anxiety.
Right.
And some people, a lot of people suffer from depression in their lives. When you lose your job, children, especially mothers. I'm not going to discount fathers as well, but, when you think of postpartum depression, it affects both. It doesn't only, I'm not going to say that it doesn't only just affect the woman. Of course, the woman feels a lot of it, of course, but it does affect the men as well. We have to keep it equal around there. And, a lot of people get depressed from even, illnesses. Chronic illnesses can cause depression, and a lot of people suffer from that, but there's always a way out, Mm-hmm. There's always a way out.
And I relate to that a lot because sorry about that. Just to add on to what you were saying, I dealt with anxiety, right? Mm-hmm. But, to keep it brief, during the 2018, 2019 phase, my anxiety was really bad. I got diagnosed with, I wouldn't want to call that official, mm-hmm. but, I had high anxiety 2018, 2019, where I was, I know where it stemmed from. I can't really go into details because then it'll be too specific, but, when you just go through things, right, at a high level with certain stuff and life happens, you start feeling, for me, mm-hmm. I was I need to do stuff. So I was entering a transition phase in my life where I didn't know where to next, where to go. And I was in a relationship that wasn't the best for me. It was very toxic at the time. So it was a lot of things adding up to the anxiety. But I remember during that time, I probably went to the doctor 32 times in a year and stuff like that, just having panic attacks out the ass. And I'm 1,578 days free from anxiety and panic attacks. So I counted down. So, but during that time it was really bad. My relationships were failing, mm-hmm. friendships, the people didn't want to be near me. My family was oh God, here we go. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't the best mm-hmm. time period to have a good support system. So I went to therapy, and it saved my life because, it was a lot of dark thoughts started seeping through. And what stemmed from it, I had a really bad injury. Yeah. So it was nobody knew where it was, mm-hmm. and they thought I was going crazy. Mm-hmm. I went to the doctor. Oh, you're fine. I went to 20 doctors. They're oh, you're fine. We don't see nothing in the blood work. We don't see nothing in the x-rays. I'm no, I'm not fine. Because I was feeling I was having a heart attack mm-hmm. almost every week. It was crazy. I couldn't breathe at certain things. But then I realized what it was. 8 months later, mm-hmm. I had 2 floating ribs. Mm-hmm. So when you had 2 floating ribs, basically every time you breathe, mm-hmm. your ribs is moving. Mm-hmm. And so that was going on with me for 8 months. But everybody was oh, you do the x-rays, fine, nothing. Mm-hmm. They didn't see nothing. But a physical therapist taught me oh, hey, you can't feel nothing here.
Yeah. Something's wrong.
Right. So during that time, I just made it transition to just do the therapy, do the groundwork. It took me a year and a half, but that person from 2018 to 2020, I don't know who that was. But I do agree with you. You got to do the work. Yeah. And it's not I still get OCD and overwhelmed, but I learned so much in that mm-hmm. time to really combat it. And I felt anybody I know that go through anxiety or type of stress, I'm hey, just do therapy. Yeah. If you don't do therapy, just find things that are healthy.
Yeah. Find things that are healthy that works for you. Mm-hmm.
Right. Taking walks, whatever. Mm-hmm. Writing, reading.
Even if it's just busy. Watching something for 5 minutes just to calm you down. Something that that would put you in a realm where you feel more comfortable. Right. And that leads me to the verse of the pod. And this verse that I've been pondering on for a while, because it's something when I think about in this realm of being, when you're dealing with mental health and mental illness, when everybody is going through this anxiety phase and they want some type of peace, right? Mm-hmm. And my dad always tells me, this is one of my favorite quotes my dad always tells me, he always tells me to be hopeful, confident, cheerful, and courageous. And when I think about those are the things in a mindset where you feel like you have no end or where you want to go. You have to feel like you have to have hope, right? And you have to be confident enough. And in that space, you want to be cheerful and you want to be able to be courageous to get through whatever you're getting through. And I wanted to talk about my scripture today for the rest of the pod is Isaiah's 41:16. Well, I'm saying 41:10. And it's, don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. And it lets you know that, you know, you shouldn't be afraid. If you have faith and you have hope in God, God is always going to be there. He's not going to leave you nor forsake you, you know. And you have to have the courage. You have to have the hope to believe that you're going to get through it, you know. There's so many different outlets. Sometimes I pray for peace. I pray every morning. I do my devotion, of course. But in times where I feel like I'm going disarray, I pray for peace. It keeps you calm. It keeps you safe. It keeps you in that realm, you know. And a lot of people do pray for peace. A lot of people pray for other things that to help them to get through whatever they got to get through. But it always reminds me to have courage. So moving forward for this week, guys, I just wanted to give you that note. Be hopeful, be confident, be cheerful, and be courageous. The 4s.
And that's it. That's
the... That's a great way to end it. But thank you guys for tuning in. Call Nesha If. Today was just Call Nesha if you know someone that was dealing with any mental health or mental illnesses, and, you know, to help them. You know, there's a mental health crisis hotline. You dial 988 if you need someone to talk to. If you're in a crisis in the moment, they have various licensed practitioners, and they have social workers, I believe. They have mental health counselors. They have everyone you need. So thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, hopeful, confident, cheerful, and courageous. See y'all next time.